Major funding for tonight's top story has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through the Eastern Educational Network and by viewers like you.
Good evening, I'm Charlotte Celeste.
And I'm Mike Strelo.
Mostly cloudy skies now, they do. Live. You said it on the record. Go for it.
You guys find the video from last night?
Good morning, Jet Broadcasting.
Now the school district attorney, kept referring to her as Mrs. Reed. So my question is to you, can we go with her name?
You referred to that on, he knew the camera was going.
Yes. I'll call him back to see if the other guys have been saying that, but...
Do we have Mrs. Reed's first name?
Well, I know what it is, but I'll call him back and ask him for sure, but do we go with it?
If he referred to her as Mrs. Reed on the record, we're free to run with Mrs. Reed on the record.
Right. Okay.
If he said it on the record, go for it.
I mean, there are parts of the...
This is about a teacher who is charged with hitting a student in elementary school. It's not every day here that an elementary school teacher, a public school teacher, is charged with striking students under her care. And it's certainly of great interest to our viewers when it does happen.
From Northwestern Pennsylvania's #1 news station, this is Action News 24 at 6.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Gahn.
And I'm Don Schreiber. On September 17th, the teacher identified by attorneys as Reed was removed from her DO classroom and reassigned to non-teaching duties pending an administration investigation.
We talked to a Deal school parent who said his daughter was a victim of abuse. He said the girl came home from school with bruises, nail scratches, and welts. Our Tim Miller is live in the newsroom with how that parent is reacting to Reed's suspension. Tim.
Well, Kelly, the girl's father says he is surprised that the district took action so soon, and he's hoping that more will be done. This was John Cannon.
So what is news? It's what people are interested in, I guess, most simply put.
What I try to do is set some tone as to what we think is important and how should we tell it in a way that is important to viewers, and to make sure that we're doing things that matter to them in a way that they understand.
I see it as an awesome responsibility to make sure that what I am delivering each night is factual and is fair.
Good evening, I'm Mike Strelo. They've been jailed for more than 2 weeks, accused of Cold War crimes. Now 3 spy suspects with ties to UW-Milwaukee want to be released.
No, 4 and 12 got here shortly after we got here. So 6 is probably the only one that's got the good video. All we know is that there was a little kid that was abducted or held hostage inside this house, and that they've arrested one man who may or may not be the kid's father. But until we hear from the lieutenant, we won't know for sure.
As far as I know, the 2 suspects did not know the mother of the child.
When the police arrived here, the mother of the child and the 2 suspects were all inside the house.
That's not correct.
No? Who was inside the house?
The child and a resident from the address where the mother lived.
Do they want the woman to go to the bank to take out money?
That's all I have to say at this point. Everything else is under investigation. I have nothing further to say.
Just to be clear then, Lieutenant, the gentleman...
No, I have nothing further to say. Thank you.
When it came out of this house is not a suspect?
How do you feel about your grandson being safe?
There's nothing better than these guys. They work together as a team, and I just hysterical. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. How fast they worked. How fast they got that baby. It was just unbelievable. He's an unbelievable kid. Thank you. Yeah.
Get that off the shotgun.
A 2.5-year-old boy is reunited with his family after being abducted by a pair of alleged armed robbers. Good evening, I'm Charlotte Celeste.
And I'm Mike Strelo. Thank you for joining us tonight. The incident began earlier this afternoon on Milwaukee's South Side.
CBS 58's Paul Piaskowski is at the 1600 block of South 17th Street right now, where it happened today. Paul?
Well, Mike and Charlotte, Milwaukee police say that at about 12:45 this afternoon, 2 armed men broke into a house near 17th and Mitchell, about a half a block from here, and demanded money from the woman who lives there. And just moments ago here on the scene, that child's grandmother showed up and was tearfully reunited with the child. Apparently, the 2 men who broke into the house were holding the child hostage so that the woman, the mother, could go to a time machine, withdraw money, and bring it back. If we can roll the tape now of Joy Holman, the child's grandmother, you will see what happened here just moments ago. Either way, the investigation continues, and the child is safe tonight. I'm Paul Piaskowski reporting live from the South Side. Back to you, Mike and Charlotte.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, whenever a story breaks at 5 minutes to 5, it's not going to be art. But I think we got the basic information out, and that's, I'd like to think that's all that counts.
My job is to service the viewer, bring them information, help them understand things, but you got to keep their interest too. I mean, we know that 9 out of 10 viewers sit around watching television today with a remote in hand, and more viewers aren't as loyal to stations as they were. They don't have to keep watching you.
And then we're going to head over. Hopefully this guy from the state police will call me back, and we'll go up for the reconstruction, because he said he wasn't there yet, so that it'll take him at least an hour and a half to do that.
Well, I would, depending on video-wise, whatever, your better video is going to be the reconstruction.
Right.
Package that.
And we still have VO of Dresser Rand. All we really need to go there is see if there are workers out front.
So make that a VOSOT. Believe it or not, some people say, well, Elmira's a small market, and nothing goes on in Elmira. There's actually news. Today we're working on a company that's laying, a story on a company that's laying off about 100 workers, or close to 100 workers, and we had a fatal accident involving a teenager that we're trying to track down, that had happened yesterday. So news does happen in the southern tier of New York, and
but you know what?
keeps us busy.
News to me is giving the people something they can use, to know something about their community, to make them better citizens.
What I think is not necessarily what I think is necessarily what we often see, but I think ideally it is to try to inform the community of what's going on in their community, not to scare them, but to inform them.
Stand by. From WFAA-TV, Channel 8, the spirit of Texas, this is News 8 at 5.
A Plano teenager dies of a suspected heroin overdose. She is the 12th Plano teenager to die of heroin this year.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. 16-year-old Aaron Baker died Sunday afternoon after allegedly using the powerfully addictive drug at a friend's apartment.
And we can do things better than newspaper or radio, because we can take you, put you right in the city council meeting, right in the school board meeting, live if warranted. And no other medium has that power and that strength.
The purpose of local news in Toledo, Ohio is certainly to give people a sense of what is happening in their community, exploring issues, we hope in an interesting and visual way and in proper perspective, covering the issues and events that are important to people and are interesting to people.
And we have some breaking news at this hour. Police in Lenawee County, Michigan are on the scene of what we're told is a possible murder. The discovery was made just northeast of Blissfield. The News Channel's Kevin Milliken is first on the scene, and he joins us now live with the latest. Kevin, is this what police there suspect?
I was taught, I think, in journalism schools a long time ago, if I can remember back that far. One definition of news is that which affects people's lives, and the more people who are affected, then the bigger the news story.
In this day and age where the networks are slowly but surely losing their hold on the viewer, the only thing a station like this has to hold viewers is us. I mean, it's the news department's identification with the community. So in that sense, news and public affairs is the whole story for a station like this.
What we know at this point is that it's a body of a male.
Okay.
And it was headless and handless. And that's about it.
Did they secure the area last night?
They secured the area last night, yeah.
They had a car out there all night.
He said that they were going to be back out there today, and now he won't confirm that there's no head or that there's no hands, but we already know that.
But they confirmed that yesterday.
Right, but now all of a sudden they're not saying that. The only thing he would say was that it was a male. They did not know the age. They didn't know where he was from.
They did confirm.
Didn't know if it was a local guy.
We've got video here that the crew that was at the scene last night brought back, and there is some video that we need to recut from dusk that has police activity.
Okay,
instead
good.
of just showing an empty cornfield that could be any place.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Now, Bob, and why don't you grab Phil and start heading up there pretty soon? We're going to do something live at noon.
Okay.
We'll take.
You may not always have the ideal situation, and sometimes you do make some choices and you say, well, you know what, that's a great story, but we just don't have enough people to cover it on this particular day, and maybe you put it aside and you say, well, you know, maybe there's a way we can revisit it later. But, you know, it does happen where you sit there and you say, well, we just don't have enough folks today.
It really is your responsibility and it's your job to make sure that you get the very most important stories in. And if you're not doing that, then you are shortchanging your viewership, and you're not a very good TV producer.
I think the important part is really deciding what people should care about, what news stories are important to them. And that's, I think, a function of the assignment desk that gets lost sometimes these days because of the technology. We're so worried about helicopters and live trucks and stuff that we don't ask the questions, you know, about some of the more important stories.
Enough is enough. We need a contract. Let's go.
Tommy Thompson.
Must go.
Tommy Thompson.
Must go.
Tommy Thompson.
Must go. UEO has to go. UEO has to go.
It's kind of hard to focus because I think the people out here think we're mainly focusing on their plight, and it has something to do with the story, but so far in the state of Wisconsin, 292 districts are working without a contract, and we need to kind of focus on them, but we're focusing on the big picture, and that is, why is this happening? What I'd like to do is an interview with you. We'll probably step aside so we can avoid some of the noise here.
Okay.
But I'll probably rehash some of the questions I just asked you, okay? So let me grab my photographer and we'll go
Okay.
from there, okay?
All right. That's great.
Hey, Dan. Vicki, where do you teach at?
I teach at Central High School in Paddock Lake.
Okay, how long have you been working without a contract?
We've been only actually working this year without a contract. But Salem over here at Salem Grade School, they've been working for the last 4 years. Why is he singling out us? QEO is unfair.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What was her name? Can you get the name? For the first net, get something generic that doesn't say something like Salem teachers, because my first words out of my mouth are, it's a cry being heard across Wisconsin. So something more generic like Tommy Thompson must go or something like that. Okay. All right? Have fun. Knock yourself out.
We've got, what, about a half hour to edit this thing?
Yeah, just about.
Is that enough
if I'm
time?
lucky. It's gonna have to be, pretty much.
Hey, Dan, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Here, when I go over the numbers, I got graphics.
It'd be nice if you could make the job totally stress-free, but I don't know, there's probably no way of doing it.
Now, you're watching the CBS 58 News at 10.
Lots of spot news, car crashes, burning fires don't affect very many people. And we don't chock our newscasts full of that stuff. This is one of the few markets where you'll see a debate over the structure of city council leading the newscast. Allegedly, CPS has changed its policy and will now allow gay and lesbian parents to adopt children in Texas. That's a dramatic change. And other states allow gay and lesbians to adopt and to be called foster parents. Massachusetts is one, there's several others. Texas up till now has not allowed that. Is it a policy issue? Is it a legal issue? Is it actually state law? It's probably CPS policy. Either way, it's Blockbuster if they really have reversed it. So if that happens, I would probably call it gay adoption, would be a generic title, but CPS.
But the news directors like boards like this because you don't have anything. You sit here with what we call white line fever, and all day long, the reporter knows that his superiors know that there's nothing on that line, so they call it white line fever, for lack of anything better. But as you can see today, it's a fever's already set in.
I don't think most people are aware that we
at the very least, plan on a daily basis that what we put on at 6 starts at least at 8:45 that morning, when we sit down and try to decide what's the most important thing that we should do for our viewers on that day. Nor do I think they realize that reporters and people working the phones sometimes run into a lot of dead ends before a story happens.
Thank you.
Bye.
Absolutely last minute. Yeah, in fact, I was out early this morning and had already put together another package on a different story, and we decided to hold it because they thought this story had more weight today. So, yeah, we're just absolutely throwing it together. I made several calls, like, in the last hour, and am having a lot of difficulties getting interviews. But we came out here, we managed to get some parents and their children, and we'll at least be able to put together this live shot. And who knows after that, we'll see. We'll get it done, though. And I don't have a script. I'm just going to wing it.
And now the school district has decided to charge Reed with insubordination and violating the district's anti-corporal punishment policy. Teresa Mertlin is live at Deal Elementary School with more on these latest developments. Teresa?
Lou, it's business as usual here at Deal Elementary today, with one exception. A first-grade teacher is not in her classroom. Mrs. Reed has been suspended without pay. That happening the day before yesterday. Today, however, still no decision has been made as to whether criminal charges will be filed. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Teresa, live from Deal Elementary School.
I don't know. I wasn't real happy with that, only because we didn't have a lot of time to put it together, but I don't think the viewers know that, so that's the most important thing.
Since we're in television, you've got to really rely on the pictures as well. Maybe a great story, you know, campaign finance reform, maybe a great story, but the pictures are lousy. And the exact opposite is true with the building implosion in Tennessee. You know, the story itself, you know, it doesn't mean anything to anybody really, but the pictures are wonderful because you see this building falling to the ground, and so from that standpoint, that's how some things make it into a newscast, by excellent pictures.
Well, I think you have to have pictures. I think that that you don't have a TV story without pictures, and I think pictures are a big part of it. Sometimes I don't think it's a big enough part as far as when stories are decided. I think that's why the photographers need to be in that morning meeting, because if you have a bunch of non-photographers sitting in there and they'll say, well, this is a great story, well, it may be a great newspaper story, it may be a great radio story, but until you have the pictures, it's not a great TV story.
This is Bob Jones calling from Channel 11. We were down the road a short time ago, and there was an officer down there who told us that the media had to stay back to this intersection, but there's really no one back here to authorize that. Can I talk to someone about, are we allowed to get closer? Obviously, we're not going to go in the field, but just a couple of shots closer to where the activity is. We're like 300 yards away. Okay. They're requesting that, or we have to? I mean, what's the...
Stay away.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Bye. Still doesn't want us to move closer. So, guess we'll stay back. Just got to play the game. I mean, if you want to get the information from them later, you'll have to do it their way. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I suppose there's nothing really stopping us, but, you know, why get them mad? At this point, there isn't a whole lot that we're going to see anyway. I mean, really all I want is information. Michigan State Police brought out a cadaver dog a short time ago looking for body parts, but an officer told us a few minutes ago that so far nothing else has been found. Rebecca? I don't know. It's like a lot of people will sit there and tell you that they don't want to see that type of news, but then if you take it away from them, they'll want to know where it was.
It's about getting the story, but there are right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. And if you can't get it that way, then there are other ways to go around the corner or whatever you have to do to get it within the realm of, you know, being ethical and being fair.
There's a perception, I think, sometimes that we're just anxiously waiting for the next unfortunate event to happen so we can document someone's misery. And we don't do that. Now, when something happens, we'll be there. But I'm not going to sit and wait for something to happen to fill my newscast.
Intruding. Yeah, I feel like that every day sometimes.
How do you deal with that?
But I try to use, you know, I feel I'm a good person, and I feel that I use some of my own personality when dealing with some of the people, and try to bring a true, factual story to light.
And I know that the audience repeatedly says, we don't want lots of crime and blood and gore. Give us the news that's really important.
It's a Burlington Northern train that ran into a propane truck at a crossing about a quarter mile down there. And we've had a rash of derailments and train accidents in Texas, North Texas, since about August. We've got to do a noon live shot here at some point here in the next probably 30 minutes. The train could be gone by the time we get back, so we're going to try and get our pictures now. Inspectors, Burlington Northern. And then we'll go down and see what's left of the truck, if anything. Have their families been notified? Yeah. So we can release the names?
Well, yeah, I'm sure you can. It's public knowledge, everything.
Well, let's go ahead and talk to this guy. And then,
none of the cars, the railroad cars, left the track. No derailment here. So that's the situation here in northern County. We now have 2 confirmed dead from this train truck collision that happened out here this morning. For now, Brad Watson, Channel 9 News, reporting live.
our producers, our news management, they want us to get on live as soon as possible. If nothing else, to show people, here's a picture of what's going on. And that's fine. I think it's okay to tell viewers early on that, okay, something's happened. Here's what it looks like. We don't know all the information yet. Hold with us. It's happening as, you know, we're reporting it, and we're going to bring you more information. That's live TV, okay? And I think viewers understand later. I think viewers are so savvy now to the technology, satellites, live TV, helicopters. They know things are happening right now, and sometimes we don't have all the information. So they'll just, you know, follow along, and, you know, we'll get it to them when we can, be it later in the hour, or in this case, maybe 5 or 6. So.
If you're not in sync with your community, you're not going to be presenting stories that they want to hear, that they demand to hear. You're not going to be presenting those stories in the perspective that these people want. They don't want a one-sided, sensational approach to television news. So if you're not in sync with your community, these folks will let you know, and then they'll stop watching. They will stop watching.
Off to the west, some chilly but not as cold air there, headed in our direction. So expect a little moderation in temperatures, but not a huge warm-up. Don't expect that.
You know, some people are interested in sports, some people are interested in what happened during the day, but weather is that one element that absolutely affects every single person.
I've read in magazine articles and heard from news directors, they say one of their quotes is, the station that wins the weather war wins the news war, and the weather being the most important part of the news.
It doesn't have to be entertaining, but it has to be palatable. It's got to be informative. You have to be able to say what's going to happen and enough about why that the viewer's going to trust that you know what you're talking about.
East, but we still have intermittent rain. Tomorrow it's 45 at noon, and tomorrow's high temperature is only going to be about 47.
When I started in television and weather, they didn't have computers and the Genesis and graphics. They just had the magnets that you toss up on the board, you know, the little snowflakes and things like that. That was a little more simpler than what they're doing now. But there are days when I wish I just had the magnets to toss up on the board there, and let's get right to it.
In the old days, there were a lot of guys who were, quote, meteorologists who knew weather inside and out, but standing in front of a camera couldn't present it. You know, couldn't get it across, didn't really have the personality to bring it across. Nowadays, a lot of the younger guys that are coming into it have the personality with the knowledge.
You can see all the cloud cover still in place over the eastern part of the state. Down across
I'm proud to be one of the women that's trying to get rid of the weather bunny image. And I think I'm doing that very well. I mean, I'm trying to bring a credibility to women in weather that we haven't really had in the past.
I think always, at some point in time, forecasts will be wrong. I don't think there will come the day when it will always be right. I just don't think that's going to happen. We're getting better, but I don't think we'll ever be absolutely perfect all the time.
That's what you'll wake up to tomorrow. As far as the rest of the forecast, I wish I told you, or could say that we have a warming trend in the offing, but I don't see that happening. We'll talk more about that and weather a little bit later on. Mike? All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Brad. Milwaukee firefighters.
I think in the beginning, when I started off as a reporter, I didn't think so. I was like, how can you tell anybody anything in a minute and 15 seconds? But I think over time, once you develop a style and once you become really good and you learn how to craft your stories, then I think that, you know, you can. Believe it or not, you really can.
Now, have you seen a change in crime?
Yes, yes,
what have
yes.
you seen?
I seen change. People, you know, they're not well. They were mugged before, you know, but they were robbed too, you know how it is.
Later today, the
money
chief
or
of police
money
is
or
coming
thing.
out, I guess, at a press conference saying that more people, he's going to be putting more people in these areas, the north side and the south side, because I guess he's discovered that these are the high crime areas. So I'm talking to people, what they think about that, if it's needed. A lot of when you go to a lot of these places, they say that it is needed. So they might say it's about time, or we'll see. How you doing? Can I ask you a question real quick? Sí, English. Oh, you don't speak Spanish? ¿Eh? ¿En español? A ver, ven por acá. No English, no Spanish.
I do not want to raise my kids on the south side because where I live at, you know, I think they prejudiced some of the police over there. I said, why did you stop me? And he said, the reason I stopped you because I get a lot of complaint about a lot of hookers walking the street. I said, so you trying to tell me? That's why I said, so you trying to tell me?
The chief of police plans to put more police officers on the north and south sides of town. I'm Saul Garza. Will tell you why some think that may not be a good idea. Let me do it again.
Sometimes you think, you know, we really just barely touched on that, but at least we got it out there. We're on the record, and our audience knows something about it. Sometimes you know that you can't do the whole story. On the other hand, sometimes you think, boy, we wasted a lot of time on something that really wasn't worth it.
They don't get the whole story. They do get a condensed version of it. And, I mean, I think they get the facts. I think they get all that they need to know, and we're telling them the important stuff.
Channel 8's Jim Douglas has details of what happened in public in court today.
You can't expect in a very limited amount of time television to simply give you everything you need to know to be a responsible citizen. We don't have that kind of time. But you can find everything from one end of the political spectrum to the other out there. I mean, it's all there. But people do have to roll up their sleeves and make some sort of an effort to try to make themselves informed.
That is the tendency in TV news to polarize, and it's almost formulaic. You go out, you find someone who's, say, anti-abortion, you find someone who's pro-abortion, and a lot of times you're right, the middle gets lost in the story. You tend to focus on the extremes.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Does this make the points that you intended it to make?
While we didn't set out to do this to make them look good, I kind of do want to give them a chance to talk.
Oh, I'm doing a series on managed care. And so she's like the manager who's in charge of this series. So I went to her to get the script approved.
No, the only thing I'm worried about, Gary, is that we're cruising along here and all of a sudden we sort of just at the end.
So now I'm looking again at rewriting the script another time and flipping some things around to put them in yet a different order to see if that makes more sense.
I think ending on The Office is not the strongest part. I think that's a symptom of this whole process, right?
Yeah, our pieces tend to run longer because, you know, it's a lot of news managers don't think that'll work, but this is how we do it.
Keep it really directed. I mean, think about you as the viewer at home, and I mean, if you're frustrated and just hassled by the system, how is this piece going to provide information?
I'll take you inside the world that's leaving patients feeling helpless, physicians frustrated, and show you why the prognosis may be bleak.
Watch a News 8 special assignment tomorrow at 10, only on News 8.
Last score is 1643, 1643.
Do everything you can to find a picture of this woman today. That is your mission.
Okay. We're trying to find a picture of the teacher that we've been doing a story on that's allegedly hit her students. So we're going to the public library here, hopefully find a past yearbook that may have her picture. So Craig's got the gear, and we're hoping to find a picture, just doing a little digging, I guess. So we hope, I don't know if we're going to find it.
Got it. Right there, man. There she is.
That's her.
Hello, Mrs. Reed.
You got it?
You got it.
So that's good. Persistence paid off, I guess. Wish we would have come down earlier, but didn't have a cameraman back then when I first came in, so we're happy, yeah.
An Erie elementary school teacher is weighing her options as she faces cruelty to students charges. The school district has suspended her without pay.
Hi, it's Tim. We got the picture.
This is why I think we're all in the business. It's the deadline pressure. Some see it as agonizing, others see it as something that we feed on every day. It gets to you after a while sometimes, but it's really what draws me and a lot of people to this business.
At times, I think we'd all maybe just like to not have 4 or 5 or 6 deadlines every day. But that's the nature of the beast.
Hey, dubbing that over now, Lou? Is that coming down? All right. Actually, you look forward to those deadlines and everything. That's what makes it exciting. That's what I got into this field for, to meet those deadlines, to be rushed.
Lots of tapes. So what do we got, about 15 today that have come in? So, very competitive business. Everybody wants a job in TV. A lot of talent here. A lot of talent. Just amazing.
Experts are warning about a possible phone scam going on in our area. An elderly woman in Galatia nearly lost her life savings.
I don't know about prime time, but could be a possible weekend situation in morning news with that. Such a subjective business.
We advertised on the internet for one position. We received 140 tapes from across the country, from California, British Columbia, to Texas, from Denver, Colorado, everywhere in the country for that one position, which was a weekend reporter / photographer position. So I can put a tape in the machine in 5 to 10 seconds after I put it in. I know whether or not I'm even going to look any further at that particular person.
Sure, I wish it weren't so competitive. I wish I wouldn't have to work in a small town when all of my friends, after graduating moved to New York or Boston or Seattle or someplace really cool where there are a lot of kids our age. But, that's just the nature of this business. You have to start like this. Now for a look at some of the stories coming up tonight at 6, Dawn Schreiber is standing by live in our newsroom. Dawn?
I'm an old-time newsman. I like to tell people the news. I think sometimes we try to put too much show into the newscast. I like the straight old newscast. A lot of people don't agree with me on that. I think we spend too much time in newscasts teasing what story's coming up rather than telling the story. I mean, you do 2 or 3 teases in the show, you've eliminated one story. There's one story you can't tell because you don't have time to do it.
Coming up on Action News, how safe are the toys your kids are playing with? An environmental group says many of the popular brands contain lead. We'll be right back.
The more concerned about ratings you become, the more it does become a show, because the more the things that are going to interest you and are going to be attracting an audience, as opposed to imparting to people the information you think they need to know to function as a free society.
Most definitely it's a performance, yeah. It is show business. It's an entertainment factor. You bet. If you don't like somebody, you're not going to watch them. It's that simple in TV news. I mean, yes, people talk about journalism and being a good journalist and stuff like that. I believe that you need to be a good broadcaster first. If you're a good broadcaster first, journalism will come.
What a full day, huh? What a full day.
You're going to kill me.
News in itself is exciting stuff. And I think that if you tell news properly and you marry picture with word, you can adequately tell people about the things in their community, and it's exciting because the community is exciting and alive and vibrant, and these are the things that we're supposed to show.
Are we just here to give them what they want, give them what they need? And probably on any given day we do some of both of that. But we don't think we sit back, in some almighty kind of posturing and say, well, this is what they need to know. Folks speak pretty loudly in this town about what they want, what they'll accept, what they don't like, what they won't accept.
Let's face it, television is news, television is also entertainment.
Yeah, right there. That's good. Here we go again, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Good, 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 good. Okay. Dan, you can actually come on the camera. That's it. Just give it another one more pull. Good. Okay, Rebecca, bring the teeth out again. Good, just like that. Last one, I guarantee.
Oh, we're such a handsome team.
Aren't we? Otherwise you'd be on radio.
Ouch. What's in there? You are a handsome team. You really are. Good
They're
looking
dumb as
kids.
sticks,
Yeah.
but they're good-looking kids.
Yeah, very good.
People really, they think of you differently because they see you on TV, they think they know you, you're in their homes every night. And people come up to me every single day and they say, oh, I watch you every night. You're just like a part of our family.
So there is a bond that we form with our viewers, and they come to regard us as almost family sometimes.
How do I look, Benny?
I'd like to be able to see that you don't have to be 23 years old and blonde in order to make a mark in the business. And I don't think that happens all the time, but I do think that happens some of the times.
I don't consider age to be my enemy, and I think there are women in this field that have made that possible for other people. You know, I used to look at age as my enemy when I first started because I was so young, and here you are trying to anchor the news and portray this wisdom, you know, and have people believing you that you're this credible person. And that was much more difficult, I think, than aging the opposite direction.
I left it in my makeup kit. Well, if nobody recognized me, I'd realize nobody cared and nobody was watching. We sponsored on this? Straight 30?
They know you and they expect you to sort of know them too. And it's, you know, it's acceptable. But there are days when it gets kind of, you know, you just kind of want to shut everything off. When you're walking through the mall and you don't feel like you look your best and you have people coming up to you and saying, well, hi, hey, how's it going? And you're like, I really didn't want to talk to people today.
Have her ask me, Bob, do we know if this is the actual crime scene, if that farm field is the actual crime scene?
Bob, are we sure that that cornfield was the actual crime scene?
We don't know that yet, Rebecca. That's another thing that investigators are looking into.
If it's kind of a mid-range story that you want to hype up a little bit, you know, you might use a bit of technology, send a satellite truck, put the helicopter up, jazz it up a little bit with the technology. And is that right? I don't know. We just do it sometimes.
Technologically, there's no question we can do amazing things in this business now, but that also, we see a lot of live for live's sake. We see a lot of flash and trash.
It's a very serious problem.
We don't see a lot of storytelling in a lot of markets.
I'm Doug Fox in Plano. Back to you. You have to look at live as it's an element in a newscast that helps with pacing. It helps with the immediacy of the newscast, and you have to be creative with it. Now, you know, to put somebody out in the dark and say, you know, this house behind me burned down 6 hours ago, but we're here live just because we're live, you know, that's not doing the job.
All right, what will happen to the business? Will it be able to reopen anytime soon?
Well, at this point, they still need to get inside. The cleanup is taking a lot longer than expected.
Cowboys finally scored some touchdowns Sunday against Arizona, but we're still waiting for the old Michael Irvin to show up. Talks like Irvin, acts like Irvin, but he doesn't play like Irvin anymore. Here's Brian Jensen.
I'm a big believer that there's very few sports fans out there. I mean, there's a reason that I'm the last thing in the show every night. I mean, I believe that.
Sports is a game. Somebody wins, somebody loses. And the good thing is about it, since somebody wins, it's always positive. So you can smile, you can have some fun with it. And I definitely try to get, you know, wacky at all costs. I mean, I like to have fun, like to joke around.
You guessed it, the fellas.
In a small market, high school is your professional football. Your college basketball team may be your professional coverage team. Here, you have everything. I mean, you have professional teams, college-level teams, and everything in between.
Is there anything behind that?
And really, sports affects a lot of people's lives, whether non-sports people want to say so or not, because whether they're talking about it at their job or talking about it over the dinner table, whatever the case, you know, it affects people's lives, and we've got to be conscientious of that.
Is there too much emphasis put on sports? Certainly.
I really think there is. We do so much with the local kids, and they deserve it for the most part. But you know that sometimes you get into the point where people are expecting it.
Number of freshmen tonight.
One change in the last few years has been women's and girls' sports. 10 years ago, we rarely covered a girls' sport, rarely did a feature. And now as time has gone on, I don't know if we were the first or the viewers were first in demanding it, but now the girls are starting to get more their due. We're doing more feature stories, and with women's professional sports, I think it's starting to even up a little bit.
I do cowboy stories year-round. I mean, you go a couple of weeks without a cowboy story in this town, and I'm a little bit having withdrawal symptoms myself. And so you start with the Cowboys, put the Cowboys in the middle, and then you try to finish up with the Cowboys, and I consider that a pretty good show.
News at 5 did a 3.68 share, so that's a new all-time high. It's just right behind ITI. So, nice job. Good. Congratulations. Good.
Do stations and do businesses look at news as a profit center? You bet they do. Is it the primary goal to be just a profit center? I don't think it's the primary goal. It's one of the goals. It's also to inform, to give the station identity. It's kind of what you wrap your whole image around, really, is around your news talent.
And, you know, given that cold start.
News at a station like this makes a lot of the money that the station makes.
The fact that business people run most television stations, and business people are very interested in making a profit, and they often put that profit above anything else, has meant that a lot of television stations do not adequately serve their public. The thing that I would like to stress is that it doesn't have to be that way.
The business is becoming more superficial in part because of the technology allows it to be, and in part because of the commercial drive to get more viewers.
Live, local, late-breaking. Watch tonight at 6 on 2 to 11, the News Channel.
You know, you hear the promos, you won't believe what we're going to show you, the most amazing thing you've ever seen. We can't even begin to tell you how shocking this is, those kind of things. And it's like a Midway. I mean, you've got people yelling at you from all over saying, come watch me, because you're desperate for those ratings.
I think we're in a business of turning out a quality journalistic product. And I believe that if you do that, people will find your station and they will watch it, and your station will prosper because you're doing good work. You're doing good work the way it's supposed to be done in this business.
What do? We create a product, try to sell it to people, and hope to make a profit. Luckily, the community has a big say in whether they're purchasing that product or not. If they don't purchase the product, we don't make the money. So you better serve up what they're buying out there.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gloria Campos. Coming up today, one day after her release from prison, Louise Woodward speaks out. Today at 5, how the British au pair plans to clear her name.
The biggest change is that we're seeing, 50% of the women in the newsrooms, or people in the newsrooms now, are women. However, those women still hold, lesser jobs by and large and get paid less than men. But I think we're seeing a progression, obviously.
There's very few of us out there. Believe me, I go to meteorology conferences. I go to broadcast conferences where you have mostly men at these conferences. I'm a minority, and I always have been. Even in my college classes, I was a minority.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Randall.
Yes, there are a lot of men in here, but I'd say the ratio is now 5 to 1, maybe 4 to 1, men to women, and it used to be 25 to 1. And they are used to hearing more than just a male voice in here. And I don't think it phases them one bit.
Ma'am, you can't say it's none of our business. This is a teacher in the public school system. You cannot say it's none of our business. This is a teacher in the public school system. Ma'am, if it's none of anybody's business, then half the times you can't say that teachers are always right. I'm not saying that this teacher is wrong, but you can't say. I talked to the principal. Ma'am, all I can tell you is the principal talked to the teacher, and the principal told me what the teacher said. Ma'am, I don't know what else to tell you. Well, I appreciate your opinion. Thank you. Wow. There was nothing I could tell her. I mean, you know, you can't please everybody. You just can't. I mean, you do the best you can do. You present it in a balanced way, in the fairest way, and that's the best you can do. You never win. You never win. But it's a story you got to do.
I've been in the business for a long time, and I think if you look across the board, our numbers haven't increased. Minority managers has not increased significantly. Female managers has, but not African American.
We need to make more efforts to incorporate other ethnic groups here, not just African Americans, but others. I mean, Native Americans, Asians. You don't see any Asians here. You don't see any Native Americans here. And I don't think that they're sensitive to that. I think that they should be here.
For most of my career, I've typically been the one female Hispanic in the newsroom. There have been times when I've been one of two. And I've had my white male counterparts tell me, you're so lucky that you're a female and Hispanic, because that's such a great break for you to get a job anywhere you want to go, because you're such a hot commodity. And I'm like, no, because there's newsrooms looking for that one position to fill, and when they have that one position filled, then they fill the others' jobs with
a bigger story,
the Standard.
Hopefully maybe Monday or Tuesday.
I think there are a lot of good people coming out. A lot of people are going to go a long way. I also think there are a lot of people who are kidding themselves that aren't going to make it in the business.
Catherine, look at the camera. There you go.
The problem is right now the colleges are cranking these kids out faster than the industry can absorb them. That's a major problem.
And I would encourage young people to come into journalism and fight the trend toward the showbiz and the tabloidism.
Most of them want to start at the top and work down. What are you going to be? I'm going to be a newscaster. Well, as they say, that dog don't hunt. And can't wash that pig. Other than that, what you going to do?
I don't know. Goof off. Hide from you guys.
Let's say research.
Yeah, research.
Research.
Today.
And one of these days he'll learn about the business. Either research or check my sources or look into a matter that I can't talk about right now. There's a lot of things.
That's because this guy's been here for 50 years. He thinks he knows it all.
Hey, ship's biggin'.
I hope that change is on the horizon. I'm not sure of that. When I go to other markets sometimes and turn on the TV and see the preponderance of crime and what I call the yellow tape stories, I wonder about that sometimes. But I think there are voices being raised now that suggest that we got to change the way we do it.
I see pretty much of a downward spiral. I don't see how it's going to change. We try to fight the good fight here, no question about it, and we try as hard as we can not to let that happen. But the future is not hopeful.
We have an infinite capacity in this business to do a great deal of harm or a great deal of good. I would like to think that when all the newscasts are over, I would like to think that on balance we have been a positive influence on society. We have brought about change in a very positive way as opposed to be a detractor to it.
Apparently, these 4 kids were in a car and they were driving along, I forget the name of the road, but then the car went out of control apparently, and one of the kids was ejected through the front window.
My name's Mike. I just wanted to know, can I ask you why you guys came up here? I know you guys, I know it's awful scene, but I just wanted to know what you were doing and why.
We wrote letters to staff. It's kind of to relieve ourselves, help ourselves
3,
feel.
2, 1. State Police say Nicholas Cooper, Coleman Avenue. 3, 2, 1. State Police say Nicholas Cooper was driving his 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. State police say Nicholas Cooper was driving. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. State police say Nicholas Cooper was driving his Dodge Intrepid down. 3, 2, 1. Now, state police say Nicholas Cooper was driving his Dodge Intrepid down Coleman Avenue this direction when he ran off the road here. Now, you can still see parts of car down at the bottom of this hill, and across marks where Sean Benedict died. How's that? Look good? You happy with it?
We got 2.
Did I screw that up anymore? You can still see parts of car down at the bottom of the ridge and across marks where Sean Benedict died. I messed up the name in the stand-up because I was thinking about other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to voice just his name, Seth Benedict, and when we go to that, we're going to meld the two together because you don't see me on camera here anyway. So as long as we can match the tonation, it should look all right. And if it doesn't, then I won't use the stand-up. So no biggie. I don't think a biggie. We'll see how it works out.
But there is something rewarding about this that keeps us coming back for more. And at its best, it is a wonderful feeling knowing that what we do, when we do it well, that we've done something that for us is fun and unlike anything else we would ever want to do.
I can't think of another job that I'd want to pick up and move from now. This is home. This is what I do. They know me, and I do it reasonably well.
I know that there's going to come a time when I have too many wrinkles and I'm not as nice to look at anymore. That time will come. And at that time, I'll do something else with my life. But for now, I enjoy what I'm doing. And I'm still young enough to not have to worry about it so much.
And every one of us in here isn't here because we're getting rich. We're here because we love the job. You know, right now, I haven't been to bed in 3 days. My mom's laying in a bed dying in Pittsburgh. So I've been back and forth, back and forth. She knows what my career means to me, and it helps me to be here. So I drove back from the hospital in Pittsburgh, came in here, did this story. I'll go home and shower and go cover a football game. That's what we do. You know, the community expects us to be there.
I got the cell phone on me if anything happens. All right? All right.
The capitalization to build that new broadcast system as mandated by the FCC is something that's financially impossible for a station this size, for instance. We have decided to sell the station after owning it for 32 years and putting it on the air.
HDTV is going to cost a lot for smaller stations. And to do that these days, you have to have solid corporate backing. There's no question about it.
The man who owned Jet Broadcasting, Myron Jones, was just loved by everyone who's worked for him. That's the reason I'm still here. I mean, like I said, it'll be 21 years next month, and I've had opportunities through the years to leave, but the reason I stayed was for Myron Jones.
I've worked for the Jet Broadcasting Company since day one, the radio station for 10 years, and then moved on here to the TV station. I wouldn't know anything else.
It's kind of like losing the mom and pop grocery store. It's just the way things are these days, that it's a trend throughout all of business everywhere you go, and television is not immune to it.
I don't worry about things I have no control over. If they want me, you know, if they want me here, I will continue to do the job that I've done, and I still figure I've got a number of good years left. And if they don't, then I'll do something else.
Am I worried about it? I don't have any experience with it personally. There's a little bit of a little anxiety in the back, you know, kind of an undercurrent of that, but our people, Myron and John, have told us not to worry, and I'll take their word for it.
Take a look outside and find out what we're doing here. We've got still some showers in the area. I'll show you the radar in just a moment. We're about 66 degrees. Take a look at the high for today. It was 80, low 62. We're currently at 66. which is still normal.
Other than that, it's good business. Sure pays better than newspapers. That's the way it was out west. Well, I don't know where to go from here. Run out of pen, run out of talk. They're going to get me some coffee.
We are going to make an effort to see her personally. If she doesn't want to talk to us, that's fine. But I don't want to say, now that I know where she lives, that she will not talk to us without making the effort to at least find out ourselves. Are we going to go around and canvass friends and neighbors and things like that? And I felt that that really wasn't, I think it was our collective feeling, that wasn't appropriate or necessary. Yeah, we're going to mic up our reporter when it goes up, but you can call it good TV if you want. We don't know what she'll say. We don't know if she'll say anything. But if she has anything to say, I don't have to go back to the truck and get a microphone and go back. I want to be able to be there right then and right there. And if it looks okay, well, that's fine with me too.
I don't see any movement inside.
One more time, Abby.
What, you want me to knock again? No one's home. We tried. We'll probably have to come back now. I hope they don't make us come back.
Action News reporter Abby Cahill tried to talk with Reed at her Corey area home this afternoon, but no one responded to her attempts.
Major funding for tonight's top story has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through the Eastern Educational Network and by viewers like you.